Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to be doing part 2 to the story I covered earlier about the guy who, in my opinion, story is the greatest story I've ever covered in this channel. And I'm not going to need to go into too much about it because you all watched this earlier and you've been waiting for the part 2 here. But I'll just say that we left off where his wife, like I said, was playing him like a fiddle, got that Kathy girl to come live with him, got him used to her, brought over substances, and that night they all hooked up and then pretty much manipulated him to what she wanted to do because she wanted to obviously open things up. And now they're all living together as a couple, sleeping in each other's beds, hooking up, all that. And now we're at the point where her hand is revealed and where all hell is going to break loose. And that's all I'm going to say because this part is even longer than part 1. It continues. On the Friday before last, June 9th, as in June 9th of 2023, this is recent, Ada called me at work and told me that Kathy wanted to bring a date to dinner at our place tonight. Very informal, and she and Kathy would buy the food and make the dinner. His name was Roger, a great guy, and was someone they work with. Kathy had a crush on him. Was that okay with me? And I said sure. No good deed goes unpunished, amigo. I helped Kathy prepare dinner while Ada set the table and opened the wine. Kathy was dressed in a conservative summer dress. She looked very pretty for her date. Ada was wearing a tank top, no bra, and very revealing shorts. I asked Ada if she was planning to change into something more appropriate. She looked irritated and said she was fine the way she was. What are you getting irritated about, honey? I thought we were a happy couple. When Roger arrived, he hugged and kissed Ada on the cheek and did the same with Kathy. Ada took him to the living room and sat on the couch, and they discussed work and gossiped about the people they work with. The kitchen is adjacent to the living room, so Kathy chimed in while I listened to them laugh about the antics of their coworkers. Roger and Ada seemed very friendly, and the wine kept flowing. Roger was a blowhard who thought he knew everything about everything. Think of Michael Douglas in the movie Wall Street, arrogant with long greased black back hair, but unlike Douglas, short and chubby and without the pinstripe suit, expensive dressed shirt, and suspenders. He was around Kathy's age, 27. Yeah, well, Michael Douglas in Wall Street, even though he was the villain, was cool. And this guy obviously is not. And Michael Douglas, good shape, all that. This guy's a chubby fat fuck, thinks he knows everything. And at least then, Michael Douglas's character, that character is legendary, by the way, Gordon Gekko, he was smart as hell, knew everything. There was no arguing with him. He was the expert regardless of the topic. We've all known douchebags like that, and deep down they're all deeply insecure. I had much more experience in money management than he did and was successful at it. But he knew better about that and everything else. If you disagreed with him, he was condescending. I found him insufferable and couldn't understand why Kathy or anyone would be attracted to this guy. After dinner, the four of us sat in the living room. Roger sat between Ada and Kathy on the couch, while I sat in the recliner to the side. Roger pulled out a joint and lit it up. He also took out some X and gave a couple pills to Ada. Joint and X. Remember that his wife said she got that from a friend at work? There you go. Ada took a pill also, got up and offered one to me. Something about this whole evening was wrong. Roger was in the middle of Ada and Kathy, as I'd been when the three of us ended up in the bedroom for the first time. I decided to remain sober. I told Ada that I didn't want to take the X. Ada asked me why I didn't want to get high with them. I told her I just didn't want to. She got angry and scolded me that I was a real downer. She's giving you a hard time because you want to do fucking illegal drugs, or at least one of them, and making you feel bad and insulting you in front of this chubby fuck. True colors are starting to come out here. She told me she wanted me to be part of things with them. It was embarrassing that I didn't want to participate. My house, bitch. Roger would think I'm a real wimp. She ordered me to take the X, and I said no. Ordered you? Somebody's feeling a little overconfident here. Roger had passed the lit joint to Kathy, and Ada took the joint from Kathy and tried to hand it to me. She said, "Take it. I want you to join in." I told her I didn't want that either. At this point, this is when he said the party's over. Roger, get your fat ass out of here, and Ada, we're going to talk. End of story. She said if I didn't want to take it, I should go to bed like the old foggy had obviously become and leave the youngsters to their fun. She was tired of my sitting there being all disapproving, spoiling their good time. She took a drag and blew the smoke in my face. She offered the joint to me again and told me to take it, and I just looked away. I couldn't understand why she was so upset that I didn't want to get high. I was also getting angry and was about to tell Roger it was time for him to leave. But he was someone Kathy was supposedly interested in, and I didn't want to stand in the way of her being with him. Well, the entire time was Kathy and him behaving in a way like they were dating or she was interested in him. You gotta pay attention to body language. I didn't say anything. Ada glared at me, but sat back down next to Roger and handed him the joint. So you're in the recliner, and your wife is sitting next to this dude. Okay. She smiled at Roger, squeezed his thigh, and apologized to him for a stick-in-the-mud husband. Now she's touching him. She left her hand on his thigh. Roger offered a pill to Kathy, but Kathy also said no. Ada glared at her, but Kathy said the weed was okay, but she was up for X. Ada and I will have to have a long, serious talk later about her behavior tonight. No, you should have handled that right then and there. Particularly his hands on her leg, or her putting her hand on his leg, whatever the hell it was. You nip things in the bud. As the three of them got high, Roger and Ada got closer together and started to touch each other. Not in an overly sexual way, but casually. I don't care what way it was, he shouldn't be touching her and she shouldn't be touching him. When the doobie was done, Roger put it out in an ashtray on the table next to Ada, putting his hand very high on Ada's bare thigh when he leaned over and put it out. He left his hand there. Ada had been doing the same to him when passing it to Kathy. How are you not kicking the shit out of this guy right now and also throwing her out? He lit up a new one. Kathy continued to smoke the weed, but seemed detached from both of them. Kathy just kept glancing at me, looking concerned. Ada and Roger seemed to be in their own little world, giggling, touching, and smoking. Charlie, our dog, needed walking, so I got his leash and asked Ada to walk the dog with me. I thought it would prove an opportunity to talk privately about what the hell was going on with her. Ada told me she was too stoned to walk. Besides, she didn't want to be with a downer like me. Kathy got up to come with me. There is no way in hell I would leave those two assholes alone. When we got outside, Kathy put her arm through mine and held me close. I asked her what she saw in Roger. I thought he was a jerk. She said she saw nothing in Roger. She always thought he was a jerk too. I asked her why she asked him to dinner, and she said she didn't ask him to dinner, Ada did. I asked if Ada was trying to fix Kathy and Roger up. Kathy replied that Ada knew she couldn't stand him. Roger had come on to her, Kathy, when she started working at the company, but Kathy had made it clear she had no interest in him at all. Well, clearly Ada invited Roger over because she's into Roger. And now she can do all that because you're in a big open relationship and you're hooking up with another girl, so now she can hook up with another guy. And that was her plan all along. But we're just getting started here. She thought Roger was only interested in married women and those in committed relationships. He got his thrill stealing women away from their men. Kathy said that she overheard a conversation at the bar after work between Roger and another guy from work. An angry husband had come looking for Roger at work that day, and Roger had to sneak out the back entrance to avoid the husband. Now you're about to see this Roger character's true colors in this story. And good Lord, if anybody deserves an ass whooping, or worse, it's this dude. The co-worker asked Roger about the husband and why he messed around with married women. It was wrong to break up a marriage, and Roger said to think about it. A good-looking single woman had lots of guys after them. Lots of competition for her attention. All of them standing in line. But unless she was already cheating, there was only one competitor for a wife, her husband. The husband was at work all day, came home cranky, tired, and just wanted to watch the game. He didn't pay attention to his wife. The wife didn't feel appreciated anymore. She was bored and tired of her husband's lack of interest. She was ready for an adventure with someone who did appreciate her. Roger was always ready to provide the attention and show his appreciation. This guy's a scumbag. Good freaking Lord. Wives were generally easy, especially if they were at a club or bar for girls' nights out. He would deliberately pick the prettiest wife to go after and tell her all the things her husband hadn't told her in years. Her girlfriends would egg her on, telling her they'll cover for her. The husband will never know, and besides, wasn't she her own woman? Go have some fun, and she deserved it. Does this sound familiar, guys? The whole girls' night thing, and pay attention to your friends. Her friends are blah, blah, blah. Once the girlfriends became cheerleaders, encouraging the wife to sleep with him, Roger knew the deal was done. The wife didn't want to appear to her girlfriends to think she was under her husband's thumb. He didn't own her. She was an independent woman with her own needs and desires. He was just her husband. Plus, she didn't want to let her girlfriends down. They'd want to know every delicious detail, and she couldn't wait to tell them every detail. About that chubby fuck? Really? With his greased back hair? She was excited. She hadn't felt this like this in years. She was actually tingling, almost always with her girlfriends pushing her. The wife came home with Roger so he could give her what she thought she was missing. Roger said it was a real turn on knowing that the wife would go home after having sex with him, giving her husband a big kiss, and the husband would unknowingly be tasting Roger. He liked the idea that he knew the wife better. He liked the idea that he knew the wife better than her husband did. He liked getting the wife to do things with him the husband could only dream about. Sometimes when he began to tire of the affair and to make things more exciting, Roger thought of ways to make sure the husband knew about what his wife was up to. He put hickeys all over her body, or he'd wait for the wife to fall asleep so she wouldn't know he wrote his initials on her ass. Just imagine the husband seeing someone's initials written on his wife's ass. Hard for the wife to explain that away. This is all what this Kathy chick overheard, this whole thing. Clearly this guy elaborated a lot, but the point is this guy deliberately goes after married women, lonely, bored, unappreciated, and knows the buttons to push. He may be a chubby fuck and a douchebag, but he knows the buttons to push. Reminds me of the movie True Lies. Schwarzenegger and Bill Paxton's character was going after his wife, Jamie Lee Curtis, and all that. Maybe I'm thinking of that because I watched that movie last night. Humiliating the husband and getting the wife in trouble was all part of the fun. He loved hearing from the wife about the husband's emotional breakdown when he found out about the wife's activities. When the wife called Roger or met with him for the last time to end the affair, Roger would press her for details about her husband's confrontation with the wife. Roger knew that if it could get the wife to ridicule and make fun of the husband's devastation and suffering it caused by him, the wife's affair, the wife belonged to Roger for as long as he wanted her. Roger couldn't understand why any husband would want to keep such a wife, but a lot of them were just too weak to throw out the trash and move on. Yeah, that's the truth. This is why I tell guys all the time. Kick him to the curb. But this guy is just sociopath, narcissist. Good fucking Lord. And so I tell you guys, do not deliberately go sleep with married women, women in relationships, all that, or you're this guy. Roger thought that ruining our marriage was great fun. If the husband ended the marriage, Roger soon ended it with the wife, especially if she thought Roger was going to replace her husband. Roger just ghosted her. The best was when the husband kept pleading with his wife to give up her lover for the sake of the marriage. But the wife just continued the affair despite his begging. The wife would always tell Roger about the husband's attempts to win her back. Roger would make fun of the husband and get the wife to laugh at him at her husband's unmanly pleas. But Roger loved it when this happened. Roger would sneak a look at the wife's phone, get the husband's cell number, and call the husband after the wife left for home. Roger would identify himself as the wife's lover and give him the play-by-play of his wife's sexual antics. All the details of her and Roger together. The husband would almost always listen to it all, probably wanting to punish himself for being such a pathetic excuse for a man. Lots of simps out there. Well, that's true. There are lots of simps out there. Sure, Roger told the coworker he was explaining all this to, the husband sometimes came after him, but that was the cost of enjoying the wives and the husband's misery. So far, the cost was more than worth it. Well, I think this dude, aside from being a scumbag, is obviously exaggerates things, lies about a lot of things, because that's obviously what he does. Because believe me, if he does this regularly and gets caught, unless these guys are real weaklings, which a lot of them are, these husbands whose wives he hooks up with, sooner or later, this guy is going to get his head blown off. Let's be honest here. At best, he's going to get his ass kicked. Kathy said she listened to Roger tell the coworker all this and thought, what a worthless piece of crap this guy really is. Kathy continued that when she and her boyfriend ended their relationship. Roger just stopped hitting on her. No boyfriend to try and humiliate. Kathy was relieved she didn't have to deal with this anymore. Anyway, Roger was spending his time with a married woman, Ada. Ada thought he was cute, and they flirted with each other at work. When he knew Ada was going for drinks with the crew after work, he always went too. Always. He spent the time sitting next to her, putting his arm around her possessively and pulling her close to him, whispering in her ear. They obviously enjoyed being together. He'd even asked her to go alone with him to his ski weekend. Remember in the first story the guy asked her to go with a ski weekend? I said we better get back. Time to get Roger out of my house. When we came in, Ada was straddling Roger on the couch. Her shirt was off and he was kissing her breast. He had his hand down her shorts, squeezing her bum and moving her up and back across his lap. When she heard us close the door, Ada said cheerfully, "Hi, honey, short walk." Roger took his face off her chest, looked at me for a second, and went back to kissing her chest and playing with her ass. Now, mind you, they're drugged up, but still, they're a bunch of a-holes. And she planned this whole thing all along. And if you think this is the first time she's hooked up with, obviously, this guy, no fucking way. This has been going on a long time. And this guy's enjoying every minute of this. And as if this guy in our story here hadn't kicked his ass before, certainly it's deserved to happen right now, and throw her out. I was stunned. It took me a couple seconds to comprehend what I was seeing. I yelled, "What are you doing? Get the fuck off him." Ada looked at me with confusion and asked me what the matter was. I told her to get off him now and Roger to get the F out of my house. I grabbed her arm and pulled her off him. Ada said they were only having some fun, just like Kathy and I have fun every night. She asked why I was so mad. I had opened their marriage when I had sex with Kathy. She had every right to have outside relationships too. There you go, guys. All this, everything, the lying, the manipulation, the planning, the scheming, all this to justify her affair with this dumb fuck. There you go. Unfreaking believe. Like I said, playing this guy like a fiddle, I'm sorry to say. But don't worry. I know you're all screaming and frankly maybe questioning whether this is real. But let me tell you, our hero here she will pay. And so will Chubbs. She said Roger will not be leaving. She wanted him to stay. She said Kathy and I could join in the SCX or not if we wished. She said if I was upset, it was my fault. I had refused to take the X. This would all have been much easier for me if I'd gotten high on the X. Oh, it's his fault. I told him to get out now. Roger replied that Ada wanted him to stay. He wanted to stay, so he's staying. I'd love to jump in this scene right now and do a beat down on Roger. He had that my wife asked him there because she wanted to F him in front of me, to show me how to F my wife properly. He was there to oblige her. If I didn't want to watch, I should be the one to leave. Roger then said, Ada, get your husband to chill out or get rid of him. Ada was between me and Roger and put her hands on my chest to stop me from going after him. She said that maybe it would be better if I left for a few hours. We could talk about it when I get back. She began gently pushing me towards the door. In your condo that you owned before you got married? I'm pretty big and in pretty good shape. Roger was a good 4 inches shorter and 30 pounds lighter than me. He was mostly fat and flabby. I pushed around Ada and grabbed Roger with both hands by his long greasy hair. Frog marched into the door and tossed him into the hallway on his ass. Roger got up and scurried away down the hall as fast as he could. Well, Big Mouth here isn't so tough, is he? Ada was shouting at me to leave him alone, hitting me on the back. I picked up Ada's shirt from the floor and used it to wipe the grease from Roger's hair off my hands. I threw the shirt at Ada and told her she can get the F out too. If she wanted to be with him, go and don't come back. Either way, we are done. Holla fucking Luya, my brother. Ada put her shirt on, picked up her keys and pocketbook, glared at me the entire time, and she yelled at me, "You fuck Kathy, I'm going to F Roger," and left. After she closed the door, I told Kathy to pack her things and get out too. Kathy sat down on the couch and said she didn't want to leave, and she wanted to stay with me. This just gets getting crazier and crazier. She didn't want to cause problems for our marriage. Really? But she's been happy here with us. She had nowhere to go, but if I still wanted her to leave in the morning, she'd figure out something. Could she stay here at least for one night? I told her I had some questions for her, and if she was completely truthful, she could stay. The night, in the guest bedroom. She told me to ask her anything, and she'd tell me the truth. Yeah, because all you people have been so honest up until this point. I wouldn't believe any of these motherfuckers. I told her Ada said that Kathy was thrown out by her abusive boyfriend after he hit her. Is that true? Kathy said that he didn't hit her, but threw her out because he thought she was cheating on him. She wasn't cheating, but was tired of him. They were always fighting about something he didn't like about her. He told her that they were over. He was true to his word. He never contacted her again. That was fine with her. Well, how interesting, because this dude's wife, Ada, told him that this Kathy's boyfriend, was physically abusive and all that. Kathy says she was planning to go back to Los Angeles, but Ada insisted Kathy stay with the two of us. Kathy liked me from the time we had drinks and was very fond of Ada, and she thought it might be fun living with us. She could always go back to LA if things didn't work out. Ada had told Kathy before that she and I had an open marriage. There you go. Again, if this is true, and I do, this is true, Ada's playing them both. If Kathy moved in with us, Ada says she might find out what I was like in bed, and Kathy thought that might prove interesting. Well, Kathy, regardless of what you may think, not cool. Regardless of what this chick said, that's screwing up a marriage. I told her that was the first time I'd heard about us having an open marriage. Kathy said when Ada told her about our open marriage, it explained Ada's behavior with Roger. But Kathy figured that the open marriage was BS, and she moved in with it after she moved in with us. She knew it was BS because of the way I reacted the morning after the first time I saw Kathy and were together. I had apologized to Ada and said Kathy had to leave, and that Ada and I had to go to marriage counseling to save our marriage. Kathy realized then our marriage was not so open after all. Remember if they all hooked up and everything like that, and he was apologizing, and they were all like, it's okay. Yeah, his wife lied to her and lied to him, and good Lord. I asked Kathy what she meant by Ada's behavior with Roger. Kathy said they spent a lot of time talking together and laughing in the office. On the nights Ada went for drinks after work, she and Roger would leave the bar together before everyone else. Remember all those nights after work that she said, I have to go out with all the coworkers and drinks and the camaraderie to move up in this company, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's absurd and ridiculous. Every once in a while it's fine, and here you go. She once saw them kissing outside the bar. Very risky behavior because any of the other coworkers there could have seen them too. After Kathy started living with us, on nights when they went out drinking after work, Ada would still leave with Roger, but Ada would ask Kathy to stay at the bar until Ada returned for her. Ada didn't want Kathy to arrive home before her. I'd have too many questions if Kathy came home without Ada. I asked where Ada and Roger went. Kathy said she never asked and didn't know for sure, but Roger lived very close to the work and the bar. And Ada never left Kathy alone too much in the bar before coming back for her. Roger was never with her, and Ada returned to get Kathy. Before Kathy moved in with us, Roger had asked Ada to go away with him for a weekend. Ada asked Kathy if she could figure out a reason to be away for a weekend without making me suspicious. Ada told her that our open marriage didn't include weekends away from with a lover, especially a coworker lover. Kathy said she asked Ada why she wanted to risk her marriage for an absolute loser like Roger, and Kathy also asked Ada why she didn't just leave me if she wanted to be with another man. Very warranted questions to ask, and listen to some of his wife's responses. Ada told her to mind her own business. Ada said she loved me and wanted to stay married. She wanted the life you provided. She's a selfish asshole. But she also wanted to broaden her horizons. She was working on a plan to open our marriage in such a way that she could do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, with whomever she wanted. We would stay married, but I wouldn't be able to say a thing about her seeing other guys. So, again, this is all fine and dandy. This Kathy character is revealing all this and acting like the soft shoulder to cry on, but she knew all this shit was going on, so she's just as fucking guilty. It wasn't hard now to figure out what Ada's plan was. I wondered how much Kathy knew about Ada's plan. She knew enough. I asked her about our getting high on our first night sleeping together. I told Kathy I assumed at the time that this was all being staged by Ada because she wanted to sleep with Kathy. I told Kathy that Ada had told me that she was bisexual. Kathy said that Kathy, was not bisexual. It was a turn-on to kiss and touch another woman, especially to any guy watching at the club, but she wasn't interested in having SCX with women. She and Ada had never had SCX together. It was also news to her that Ada was bi. She didn't seem interested at all sexually in her or any other women at work. She was interested in the guys, though, especially Roger. So the whole speech in the first story about her being bisexual, that was all the first attempt to try to open up so she could get away with her hooking up with Roger, who she was obviously already hooking up with. Like I said, playing him like a fiddle, unfortunately. Kathy also told me that Ada had spoken to her alone the morning before the three of us got high, and she and I had SCX for the first time. Ada asked Kathy if she was interested in having SCX with me. Kathy was taken aback, but answered wearily that she'd like that. But I didn't seem interested in having SCX with her. Ada had told her that Kathy should follow her lead that night, and she could pretty much guarantee that Kathy and I would hook up. Ada told Kathy that she got some weed from X and X from Roger, and that tonight anything goes. Just go along with everything Ada did. Kathy said she followed Ada's lead, and Ada was right. We hooked up. There you go. Kathy said she hoped I wasn't angry with her. Oh, no, we're cool. She went along with Ada because she wanted to sleep with me. If it was okay with Ada, okay with me, then Kathy wasn't going to say no. Kathy said she just couldn't figure out why Ada would want, or even allow me to sleep with Kathy or any other woman. Crazy. And yeah, you had suspicions of her with the Roger character all this time. Connect the dots, dumbass. I'm not buying. I think she's trickle truthing him. She's telling him the things that were going on, but also twisting things around. So she's, don't be mad at me. I could figure it out. Ada's plan was to get me to have sex with Kathy and then would allow her to openly sleep with other men. As she told me when I pulled her off Roger, I was sleeping with Kathy. Why couldn't she do the same with Roger? I fell into her trap without knowing there was a trap. A honey trap. Ada planned to have sex with Roger in front of me tonight to blow up our open marriage once and for all. But she must have been crazy not to think that I would react in any way that I did. Even if I had gotten wasted like Ada wanted, I wouldn't have allowed Roger and Ada to have sex in front of me. At least I hope not. I would not have been unconscious enough to stop that. I asked Kathy why she didn't tell me this before. Kathy apologized. She felt terrible for not telling me. But before she moved in, Kathy thought we had an open marriage because that's what Ada told her. So there was nothing to tell. Bullshit. She lied to you, obviously, but once you were there and realized it wasn't open, you knew, obviously, she was lying to you and there was bullshit going on. But she got to live there for free, and she liked the guy telling this story, hooking up with him and all that. So she's no saint, by any means. After she moved in with us, Kathy said that she told Ada that she should stop the insanity with Roger. It was obvious that Ada and I didn't have an open marriage, or that at least I knew nothing about such an arrangement. Ada asked Kathy if she liked living with Ada and me. Kathy said yes, and Ada told Kathy if I heard about Roger and she before she was ready to tell me, Kathy would be kicked out. I couldn't have flings with Kathy if Ada couldn't have them also. Kathy said she didn't want to leave. Now everything is out in the open. Holy fucking shit. Like I told you guys, will be, after part 3, the best story ever. Amazing story. But also this is the craziest. I asked her any other men Ada's hooked up with. Kathy answered maybe. She's heard some rumors, but she's only been at the job and known Ada for a few months. Ada certainly flirted with other men at work, but as long as she'd been working with Ada, it's only Roger that Kathy knows about. Kathy told me that she wanted to stay with me regardless of what happened between me and Ada. She hoped Ada and I could figure things out, but she'd like to stay here. How are they possibly going to figure things out? Get the fuck out of here. And she wants to still stay there? I told her she could stay tonight in the guest room and that we'd figure things out tomorrow. I went to bed, my bedroom, and Kathy went to the spare room. I tossed and turned. About 1 o'clock in the morning, I felt someone climb into bed with me, trying to spoon from the back. I thought it was Ada and told her to get the fuck away from me and to get out of my house. But it was Kathy. She asked if she could sleep with me. We didn't have anything to do. We didn't have to do anything. She was very upset about everything and just wanted to be with me. Sure. A little throuple here. I shrugged and tried to sleep. Somehow Kathy's presence had a calming effect and I finally fell asleep. When I woke up Saturday morning, Kathy was still asleep on her side behind me and her arm around my waist. Ada had still not returned home, and when I checked my phone, she hadn't called or texted me. Well, no shit. I got out of bed and went to the kitchen to make coffee. I saw that Ada's phone was on her charger on the kitchen counter. In her frenzy to catch up with Roger, she'd forgotten her phone. How nice. Now you can open her phone and see all sorts of good information, take pictures, all that. Kathy came into the kitchen a little while later and got herself some coffee. She was dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, not her usual morning outfit. Oh, imagine that. She looked at me concerned and asked if I'd heard from Ada. I pointed to Ada's phone on the charger. Kathy asked if I wanted her to leave. I told her to sit down. I had more questions. I asked her how much she knew about Ada's plan to open our marriage. Kathy said she didn't know about anything about it. She couldn't understand why Ada had invited Roger to dinner. That was nuts. When Roger pulled out the Molly, Kathy said she knew that night wasn't going to end very well. That's why she didn't take any. But she never thought Ada and Roger would be so brazen. She apologized again for not telling me sooner about Ada and Roger. I asked Kathy where the condom Ada put on me for the first night together came from. Ada and I never used condoms. Was it her condom? Kathy said she had condoms, but they were in her room. Ada must have had condoms. After that first time, Kathy used condoms when with me. Well, you did that right. I told her we're good. She can stay if she wants to. I told her I will be divorcing Ada. Yes, I'm glad you're sticking with that. Ada will no longer be living here. Did Kathy want to stay if it was just the two of us? Kathy said yes. It would be difficult at work with Ada if she was living here and Ada wasn't, but if things got too bad, she'd find somewhere else to work. So he's inviting Kathy to stay living with him, which I think is nuts. But this guy's whole world's crumbling, so okay, he gets a pass, you're kind of losing it. And have Ada kicked out, and they're going to work together, and Ada's her mentor. Yeah. What did I say about women loving drama? Good God's sakes. I told Kathy that I needed some time to think things through what I had to get. I told Kathy that I needed some time to think through what I had to do to rid myself of Ada. And that, gentlemen, is the end of part 2. I know you're screaming. A few hours, I'm going to do part 3, wrapping up this crazy story when this guy now plays her like a fiddle. And I do mean like a musical prodigy. So his wife, evil. Holy shit, to all new levels. I wasn't kidding about this. But let me tell you, he made mistakes. We can agree here. But you know what? He will redeem himself. And you guys will be very, very proud. So if you're on the East Coast, it's late. It's worth staying up to hear the end of it. It'll probably be about half an hour long. But absolutely worth it. And let me tell you, like I said, he plays her like a fiddle. And he makes his comeback and gets his revenge. And in no way, shape, or form should he feel bad for what he does to her. And she gets it. Good Lord. So gentlemen, I will see you tonight. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll see you tonight.